At the beginning of the movie, we are in Antarctica on the Larsen Glacier. Suddenly the ice cracks, taking equipment with it. A scientist named Jack Hall saves some of the instruments by jumping over the failure. The hero miraculously manages to get back to his colleagues and not fall down. The action moves to the UN conference on global warming. Jack speaks there with sensational news: the melting of glaciers will change the system of currents, which may cause a sharp cooling in the world. The vice president criticizes the professor's ideas and says it sounds implausible. Jack insists that the cold snap is getting closer because of wasteful spending of resources, and therefore all nations must unite and take action. The last piece of glacier to break off is the size of Rhode Island, which means time is getting shorter. It starts snowing in Delhi because of climate change. Jack meets Terry Rapson. A scientist visiting from Scotland wants to talk about the theory of climate shift. Meanwhile, at the science center, Terry his staff is relaxing watching soccer. Dennis ignores information about a sudden cold snap at one point in the ocean, thinking it might be caused by a storm. Heavy hail begins to fall in Tokyo, maiming people and cars and breaking transmission lines. Jack arrives home and goes through the mail. His son Sam Hall learns of the strange weather phenomena on television. A character calls his wife and asks why his son is failing in math. Dr. Lucy Hall replies that to answer this question he needs to be home more often. Jack promises to pick up his son at 9:30 and learns that he is flying to the Olympics in New York. The hero almost forgets about it, but still takes Sam to the airport and learns that the bad grade was unfair. The relationship between Jack and his son is not very warm. The ISS staff notices 3 strange cold cyclones. During the flight, Sam gets into a strong zone of turbulence, which causes things to fly off the shelves, and the stewardess almost gets hit by a drink and food cart. Laura Chapman tries to calm the guy down and asks Brian not to scare anyone with statistics about airplane crashes. Terry is worried about the drop in water temperature because already 3 devices show a drop of 13 degrees. In New York, Sam notices strange behavior of birds, and the zoo notes an unusual condition of wolves. During the quiz, the guy notices the other team captain JD's eyes on Laura. During the party, he offers to give the girl a little tour. Sam grudgingly watches this, however, does not argue. Terry calls Jack and tells him about the changing currents. The hero realizes that global cooling has already begun. Soon in Los Angeles, heavy hail falls and tornadoes appear. Tornadoes destroy houses and appear too quickly. Sam and the other participants of the Olympics are watching in horror, having turned on the news on TV. The guy learns that the flights have been cancelled, which means that he is stuck in New York for a while. At the conference, Jack again states that it is the desalination of the ocean due to the melting of glaciers that caused natural cataclysms. The hero is sure that there will be a global climate shift. Jack is going to continue his research together with Jason Evans, Frank Harris and Janet Tokata. Meanwhile, Lucy looks after a little boy named Peter in the hospital. Jack learns that a complete overturn of the climate will occur in 6 to 8 weeks. The hero tries to warn the vice president, but he refuses to carry out a large-scale evacuation. JD offers Laura and her friends an overnight stay. At the Natural History Museum, Brian is impressed by an instantly frozen mammoth. Scientists from Scotland are not subject to evacuation due to their generator, but the situation is unsettling for them. Terry learns that 3 helicopters in Scotland have gone down because their fuel froze. The scientist calls Jack and promises to send data for processing. The hero realizes that the temperature has already dropped to -100 degrees. Janet shows an image of Scotland at the time of the tragedy. The helicopters are in the epicenter of a strange cyclone. It rains for days in New York and the ocean level rises. Sam and his friends rush to the train station to return home. Laura suggests not going home, but Hall's son rejects the offer. At the zoo, they learn of the wolves' escape. A man named Luther tries to take shelter from the rain in the Central Library, but he is not allowed in because of his dog. Meanwhile, waves are hitting the Statue of Liberty. Laura decides to help the people stuck in the cab, but accidentally injures her leg underwater. A huge wave reaches the streets, washing away people and cars. Sam miraculously manages to save Laura. Together with them, Luther manages to run into the library. At the same time, Jack processes Terry's data. According to disappointing forecasts, a new ice age is coming to the Earth in a couple of days. The hero asks Terry to leave, but the man realizes that time is up and asks him to save those he can. The cell phones in the library don't work, but there are phones in the flooded lobby. Sam goes down there to call his parents. Jack manages to warn his son that a blizzard is coming and asks him to stay inside the building and burn anything to keep warm. The hero is ready to go after his son, and he needs polar gear to do so. Laura helps a drenched Sam warm up by hugging him. Jack proposes an evacuation plan to the president. While some people can still be saved by being transported to Mexico, those living closer to the north need to stay in their homes and never leave until nature calms down. The president approves this plan after learning that Jack's son is in an area that cannot be evacuated. Scientists in Scotland realize that they are doomed, as they don't have much gasoline left, so they try to warm themselves with whiskey and pray for humanity. Meanwhile, Luther, walking his dog, notices that people have started walking the streets. And the people hiding in the library want to get to the southern states on the ice too, to be evacuated by the military. Sam tries to stop them, but most of the people do leave. Jack is going to pick up his son from New York, and Frank and Jason are going to go with him. Sam finds a fireplace in the library and is going to burn books in it. People argue about whether to burn Nietzsche's books, at which point Brian suggests they turn their attention to books about tax law. Food from the vending machines proves to be scarce, and Luther remembers the trash cans. Lucy decides to stay at the hospital with Peter since no one has come for him. Brian learns that the entire northern hemisphere is covered in snow and doubts Jack will make it. But Sam continues to have faith in his father. Some part of the way the hero manages to travel by car, but Frank crashes into a barrier of ice, and then everyone has to walk. The people from the library begin to regret their decision to start moving toward the southern states. Luther teaches Jay how to insulate himself with newspapers. Sam recounts his best vacation ever, when a cataclysmic storm in Greenland caused him to spend a few days alone with his father. Meanwhile, Frank falls through the glass into a mall room. Jason tries to rescue him. However, Frank sacrifices himself, seeing that the glass cannot withstand the efforts of his partners. Help finally arrives for Lucy, and she realizes that she was able to save Peter. Sam finally admits that he went to the Olympics because of his crush, and Laura kisses him, reciprocating the feelings. At the base in Mexico, the vice president learns that the president's convoy has been caught in a storm and no one has been rescued. Laura's leg wound causes blood poisoning and she urgently needs penicillin. Sam insulates his clothes and is going to go outside to look for the medicine on a Russian ship that came before the Ice Age. Brian and JD plan to go with him. Meanwhile, Jack continues his journey to New York. Jason passes out and the hero has to carry him with him. Sam finds a medical room on the ship, but it turns out to be locked from the inside. At the risk of himself, the boy crawls along the railing to the window and, breaking it, opens the door for his friends. Starving wolves who have escaped from the city zoo begin to roam the ship. Brian finds penicillin and suggests they explore the kitchen as well, as their food supply is running low. At this point, they are attacked by wolves which injure Jay. Sam sets a trap for the animals, but realizes they need to hurry badly to get to the library. The guy offers to load the injured Jay onto an inflatable boat. Meanwhile, Jack notices that the atmosphere has suddenly become transparent. The hero realizes that he got into the epicenter of the storm, where the lowest temperature will be. Sam also notices the changes in the atmosphere and tries to get to the library as soon as possible. Together with Jason, the hero hides from the cold in a warehouse, and his son manages to get into the building. The temperature becomes so low that everything is covered with a crust of ice. Sam actively tosses books into the fireplace, and the hero does the same, trying to somehow keep the temperature livable. Soon Jason comes to his senses and continues on his way with Jack. ISS personnel confirm that the storm over North America is dissipating. In the morning, Jack sees the frozen ships and the icy Statue of Liberty. According to Jason's map, the library should be directly below them. Jack discovers the half-frozen building and makes his way inside. The hero finds his son and rescues him as promised. Jack sends a message to the vice president and he sends helicopters to New York. This is the end of the movie. Thank you all for watching this video to the end. Give this video a like. Write in the comments what you think about this movie, and see you in new videos.